Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the channel, Shelly's Millions. Um, in today's video, we're going to talk about one of the retirement communities, or not communities, but an area to retire in that one of my viewers asked me to look at when we were live last week. And just as a reminder, we go live every Sunday at 11 a.m. And the topics that we talk about that are finance, budget, money related are largely whatever you guys want to talk about. So today we're going to look at the cost to retire in the state of Texas and in Dallas and the surrounding areas and just see what things cost. Last week we looked at the villages in Florida and I was actually surprised. It seemed pretty affordable. Now, there is a lot of HOA activity in the villages in Florida. I don't necessarily think that's bad, although I did just see a story. The reason why I don't think it's bad is because largely, as far as I know, HOAs dictate the things like the outside of your house and like your lawn. Like one of the things that maybe I would want to do one day is do like front yard gardening. And here where I live, we do front yard gardening and no one cares. But at an HOA, a lot of times they're like, you can't put food in your front yard. You need, I think you can do mostly what you want in your backyard, things like above ground pools or in ground pools. Those might need HOA approval. And that's actually though because could potentially cause like damage or like flooding or something to like your neighbor's property. So I think it's still like well intentioned if they are dictating what you can do in your backyard. But oh, okay, Joel, we will talk about that. Because you know how old my car is and what I drive. So my car is a 2013 Prius C. I love it. It has, I think, about 114,000 miles on it. But that's starting to get old enough where maybe I'd like to think about replacing the car. So Joel says auto tariffs are now in effect. Basically, you have an old car, take care of it because you don't want a car payment nowadays. Even my cousin is keeping his 1998 Toyota RAV4 and it runs good. So by that math, I would have about another 15 years on my car. And so far so good. About 3 in 2023, so I guess 2 years ago now. That was the last time I took any kind of vacation, and right before I went on vacation, just like clockwork, at the 10-year mark, my hybrid battery went out, and I think it was about $3,000 to replace. Anyway, back to retirement and HOAs and things like that. So for me, mostly, I'd be okay if the HOA said, no, you can't garden in your front yard. And you know what? Even if they said that I couldn't plant vegetables in my backyard, I would be okay with an HOA telling me that. I would assume, right? I just saw something about like you can't plant green onions in Iowa or Idaho. And it's something about like it can attract a certain kind of pest that can ruin the commercial crops. So, you know what? I don't know those kinds of things. I don't want to have to keep track of those kinds of things. I'm going to give the HOA the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what? If they're telling me not to grow tomatoes in my backyard, that, in Florida, maybe it's to keep the alligators away. I don't know. I don't think alligators like tomatoes, but I don't know. Um, Linda says that her Toyota 2008 is fine, only 120K miles on it, which is breaking in for Toyota products. Yeah, and you know what? I love my car. I will say this is easily fixed though, obviously, but my steering wheel, it's starting to get like worn down and like gummy. Um, in the places where it's like just I steer and it's worn off, but they make steering wheel covers for like $12. So I think the saying is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Um, my bathwater might need a little, steering wheel cover, but the baby itself, which is the car, is fine. Do we want to switch topics and talk about cars instead, you guys? I had thought we were going to talk about retiring in the Dallas area, but maybe I'll wait for sure until Cindy hops in. Maybe we can talk about cars, I like to look at the prices, yeah. So, let me know, do you want me to switch and talk about cars and tariffs? And I will say, this is so stupid, but, like, we're starting to get where at my job, separate bills that include tariffs. So, let's say there's a specialty product that you carry for a movie, and you brought it in and you agreed to pay a certain price, and that helps us choose what price we're gonna sell it at so that we can make a profit on the item that we brought in. And then, you're getting, like, a separate bill months later for tariffs. Can we just not pay that? Can we be like, "Hey, we didn't agree to that?" We probably did sign something that, like, they could retroactively bill us for tariffs. But some of the products we received, like, months ago, and I'm just now getting the, separate bill that's just for the line item tariffs. So it's a little bit crazy. Um, all right. So, HOA, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that they are truly acting for the good of all their residents, even if residents are like, "Well, why wouldn't I be able to grow food in my front or backyard?" I could kind of understand that. There might be reasons beyond what you can, like, what you would originally think of. Then, um sorry, I lost my train of thought. I hear my mom tries not to, like, make noise when I do YouTube, but I definitely she's in the kitchen fixing stuff, and that's fine, but I'm just like, "Oh, does she have everything she needs?" And I'm, like, listening. Anyway, I'm gonna take a sip of coffee, that means to like the video. So for me, I think largely HOAs, they dictate the things in the front of your house, like paint color and, landscaping. They wanna make sure that, like, you're cutting your grass on a routine schedule and things like that, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't really wanna spend any money on the exterior of my house. My current house needs it, but, like, I've lived here 12 years, and the houses need exterior paint and things like that this whole time. Now, if I lived in an HOA, they would be saying, "Hey, like, you have to fix that," but maybe that's the little nudge I need. I've largely when I don't do repairs, it's largely because I'm not entirely sure where to start and what's needed. So, just as an example, my house is stucco. And when it gets cold, and especially when it gets rainy, this is so gross, I can't believe I'm gonna share this, but my house on the outside honestly looks kind of moldy. And okay, so I'm not sure if that's a stucco issue, if that's, an issue where I just need to paint my house, if it's just something that stucco does? I don't know. Like, I don't know if I just need to pressure wash it or if I totally need to redo the stucco. Then, additionally, my house is also like 3 or 4 different colors, especially in the back. The back is a hot mess. I don't know what they were doing back there. Also the stucco looks all different in the back. It looks like maybe at one point they had cut like an outline for a doorway and then maybe they switched it. But you know what? Maybe it would do me good if I had, like, a little nudge from the HOA, and then outside of that, I don't wanna mess around with the house, so, like, whatever color I bought the house, let's just keep it that color. Like, to me, that's an aesthetics thing, and, I don't need the outside of my house to be perfect in order to enjoy it. I don't need it to be a custom color to enjoy it. I don't follow the trends or the fads. Like, I strongly believe with cars too, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If you have a house color and it's fine and it's approved by the HOA, just leave it, you know? You're tired of looking at the outside color of your house, just leave it. It'll save you money. Now, if there's upkeep and maintenance that needs to be done, like in my case, I probably should be doing that. So maybe I would need a little nudge for the HOA. So anyway, my point is that I would be okay with an HOA. But so that in the villages in Florida, and not in the Florida, in the villages in Florida, that seems to be people's main concern is the HOA involvement, but honestly, when we looked at the cost of housing and what they said about the villages, it seems like for the community that you're getting, that it was actually a pretty good deal. So we are gonna look at Dallas today. Also, guys, I manage a movie theater, so we gotta look at the top 10 movies this week. Um, so we'll do that really quick. Debbie, there's a movie called Weapons. It's supposed to be a horror movie. Um, and it's I mean, it's doing really well. It's the director of somebody named, why does it always do this? And the numbers, a weekend box office gross. So anyway, Weapons is supposed to be really good, and I would not be surprised if that's the number one movie this weekend. And Weapons is supposed to be horror. I don't know if I'll see it, although I've heard it's not exactly horror. I think there might be a twist. Okay. So, oh yeah, my mom and I are definitely gonna watch Freakier Friday. Okay. Weapons was the number one movie with 42.5 million. That's pretty good. And it seems like it's getting good word of mouth. And unfortunately, here's the thing about something like Weapons is that I do not normally watch horror, but yeah, you guys want to talk about cars. So I think we're going to switch to that in a second. People are talking about the movie Weapons as soon as they get out of it. And so, hi Richard. People are talking about the movie Weapons as soon as they get out of it. So I think it's going to be really good. And I think people have already almost ruined it for me. So I've heard a little bit about it. So sometimes when there's something that's in the horror genre that I think I want to see, then I'm like, oh, now people have just spoiled it for me. Anyway, top 10 movies this weekend were Weapons. And I don't know if my mom would wanna watch that with me. I can't do horror by myself, so my mommy would need to hold my hand if I'm gonna watch it. Alright, she wouldn't literally need to hold my hand, but, like, I need somebody that I know sitting next to me. Alright, so Weapons was the number 1 movie, Freakier Friday was the number 2 movie, Fantastic Four: First Steps is the number 3 movie, Bad Guys 2, which I would also like to see, is the number 4 movie, The Naked Gun, which I've heard is a really great comedy. People are very happy with it, being in the franchise. Number 6, Superman, which I didn't love. Jurassic World Rebirth, also, I've heard that's not very good, but, dinosaurs, like, how bad could it be? It's, you know what you're getting in that movie. F1, the movie, which, of course, is about race cars, and it has Brad Pitt in it. My mom actually really likes race cars, so that is something I would see. Then Together, which is body horror. I probably will not see that. And then something, called Sketch, which is kind of like a kids movie sort of, where they draw movies or they draw like monsters and then they come to life. All right. So that's the movies this weekend. Let's look at a Toyota because I would definitely buy a Toyota again. So we're switching gears. We're gonna look at cars. All right, sequel to Weapons would be named Weapons of Mass Destruction if it was up to me. Joel, have you seen it? Because yeah, that seems to be like, are they using the kids as weapons? I don't know. I don't know. Because I haven't seen it, but I probably will. Okay, let's look and see about these tariffs. I'm gonna say that probably the last time we looked at cars, I that's a lease. I was like, "That's not that much money," but that's a lease, which I would not ever do a lease. I wanna buy my car. I think in general, leases trap you, I'm gonna say. I think a lot of times you see a price like, "Oh, $309." I can afford $309, but you're having to get a new lease every 2 years, and I just can't see that. I'm not willing to do that. I want something that I pay off in no more than 5 years. I would wanna pay it off early if I could. I will say that when I financed my car, back in 2013. I wanna say that originally I did it for 6 months. I was looking for a dollar amount to keep my payment at. I wanna say it was about $369. And I think to get the payment that low, that I had to finance it for 6 years, but I refinanced my car 3 times. If you're new to the channel, you know that I'm going to recommend financing your car through a credit union. It's normally cheaper. I finally ended up at First Entertainment Credit Union, which is where I paid off my car about a year early going through First Entertainment Credit Union. You do not have to necessarily be a member of the entertainment industry in order to use that credit union. You normally just need to put like $5 in a savings account and you're good to go. But they normally offer really good interest rates at a credit union. So originally I financed my car through Toyota. It was only like 2.9%, but then I got an offer where if I drove to Toyota of Claremont, which is maybe like an hour drive from where I live, that they would give you like $100 just for sitting down with them and seeing about refinancing. So I was like, sure, I'll do that. And then I did end up refinancing through them and then again through a credit union. All right. So Toyota via shopping. Let's see here. Well, this is weird. Search inventory, find a dealer, special offers. Let's just search inventory. And I wonder if it's gonna show up as a line item. Okay, I'm gonna say that I don't think. Okay, let me just back up here for a second. Ooh, I like this car. It's a Great 6, GR86. What is that? Don't look at that, Shelly. You don't need that. Okay, so this Toyota Corolla starting MSRP of $22,725. I think back in about 2013 when I was looking at cars. So that's 12 years ago now. 12 years ago, I want to say that a Corolla started about 18,000. But the reason and that's what I went to the dealership to buy. And Richard has good advice that I'm going to 100% agree with. You're better off buying used and paying cash. 100% agree with that. Um, Used cars are really retaining their value. Also, you guys have heard this piece of advice a million times before from a million different YouTubers, finance podcast, finance advice, you name it. And that is that a car is going to lose like, what is it, like 40% of its value or something crazy. It loses a lot of its value the second you drive it off the lot. It is now a used car the second you do that. So it just appreciates a whole lot to that first buyer, and then it kind of will hold its value a little bit better. So yes, buy a used car, paying cash, and then you do not have a car payment. But when I bought my Prius C back in 2013, I went to the dealership to get a Corolla because Corolla it's the entry level Toyota product, and I thought it would be affordable. But when I went, like my car that I drove there in, I was not sure I was going to be able to drive it back. I just wanted to leave it there and donate it. They actually made me take it. They're like, we don't want this. Um, but I wanted a Corolla because it was going to be cheapest, but they only had the sport model. Ah, how many minutes are we into the live? We're 20 minutes. 20. Richard, I'm so sorry. Will you can we do an experiment and you tell me how many times? I don't know how I'm going to fix that. I do let YouTube automatically put in the ads, but it shouldn't be. And how many were you getting before? Ah, okay. It's not supposed to like give anybody crazy ads. We are 20 minutes in, 20, 40, 60. We normally go live for an hour. Is 3 too many, and how long are the ads? I'm sorry. Okay, because I wanna balance it. I do wanna try and make money off my YouTube channel, but I don't wanna annoy, like, my viewers, especially, like, people who are subscribed. 5. Yeah, that's too many. That's definitely too many. Um, so I will update my settings, but I'm curious how many it does this week. Okay. So the Corolla, it was about $18,000 back in starting MSRP in 2013 when I bought my car. I needed to my car was not gonna make it off the lot. So, I needed to buy something that day. I had been looking for a long, long time. I was annoyed with other dealers. Like, I would go in, I would clearly need a car, and, like, they just weren't very good salespeople. I was like, "Look" whatever. Um, they were just not very good salespeople, and so I would always drive away without a new car. I had previously had a Mazda no, I had a Mitsubishi Mirage, and it got over 300,000 miles on it, and it just would not it really wouldn't go after by the time I had it at the lot. The only Corolla that they had on site was $21,000, and it was a sport model, and then I was like, "Wait a minute." So they didn't have any of the base model, and that's, like, probably a like a trick that the dealerships use is, like, they just don't have the cheapest one. So even on this Corolla, which says it's 22,725 starting MSRP, but then it says it's $28,440 as shown. So, and then here it says images do not depict actual vehicles being offered by dealers and are shown for illustrative purposes only. So, anyway, I don't love that. Then when I actually called the insurance company from inside the dealership, and I was like, "Which one is cheaper? How much would it be to insure a 2013, Prius C, and how much would it be to insure a Corolla, but sport model?" And it was actually gonna be, I wanna say, like, $20 more expensive to insure the Corolla, and so and the car payments were really close, but I just needed whatever was gonna be the cheapest, and then when you factored in the gas prices, um, it turned out that even though the sticker price of the Prius C was a little bit higher than the Corolla between insurance and gas, it actually was gonna be cheaper to get the hybrid. Okay. So I'm just gonna click this. We're gonna see if it says anything about tariffs. Like if there's like a line item. Like sometimes like you'll see a line item for like car mats or whatever. Okay, see offers on this is not super bad. Ice cap is the color. So sure. It's white. Okay. View details. So they're saying that this is 23,520. Let's go to the see offers on this. That's a lease, even though that's an attractive price, I wouldn't wanna do that. So we're gonna change it to finance. Um, I always like to put 0 down, but let's see if that changes the APR of 5.99. I don't love 5.99. Okay, is it changing? Delivery, processing, and handling fees, I think they always have those. We're gonna go 60 months because that's 5 years, right? And did you guys notice, did you see that? When I changed to 60 months, that saves you a whole percent in interest. Just out of curiosity, let's see if the interest lowers if we put 48 months. Nope. How about, does it change if we put 36 months? Nope. Does it change if we put 24 months? No, but watch that interest. So between 60 months, we have 4.99% interest, and that's with excellent credit. um, which I hope all of you are able to attain. But if we go to 72 months, 5.99% interest. So, I always want the best deal. So, I would not want that 5.99% interest. I would rather pay. Okay, let's see the price difference. It always helps me to do the actual math. So let's do the actual math here. We'll see what that extra percentage point in interest costs you over 6 years. 72 months is 6 years, right? Wait. Okay, hold on. Yeah, 72 months is 6 years. Okay, so 72 months times 390 is your monthly payment. It's not bad, but this is at 5.99% interest. I just like to do this because I like to know. Okay, 72 times 390 is going to make the total cost of the car $28,080. Okay, because of the 5.99% interest. If you do 60 months, 60, your car payment goes up times $444. So $54 more a month this way, but your interest rate is 4.99%. So then we've got 60 times 444 equals $26,640. So the difference between that 1% is almost $1,500. 2880 minus 26,640 equals, yeah. So for financing it one extra year, but because you've got that difference in your interest price rate, you're going to be paying $1,440 more for that car. So that's something that you want to be mindful of. Okay, look at price. Okay, Joel says, look at prices of the cheapest Lexus. You think even then it's kind of high. I think the cheapest is either an IS or an ES. Then look up BMW prices. Okay, because Lexus is made in the United States and BMW is a foreign car. Is that why we're doing it like that? Hey, let me see really quickly though if there is a line item view price details. Let's hit this real quick. Okay, base MSRP 22,325. Total SRP delivery and processing fee. We got to look at what this little footnote 7 says. Also, I probably would trade in my car, but I don't know what that value is, so we're not going to do it. Okay, let's see. Where's footnote 7? Okay. Confirm annual mileage. No, that's on the lease. Hold on. Let's go back. Oh, dang it. Okay, we did see offers. Then we did finance, view price details, delivery, processing, and handling fees. Total not financed, cash down payment 2,000. That's fine, but what is this? 7. Oh, here we go. 7. Total suggested retail price includes manufacturer and distributor options and delivery, processing, handling fees, which may be subject to change at any time. Excludes taxes, title, license, and dealer options, fees, and charges. Dealer price will vary. Interesting. So it doesn't necessarily say anything about the tariffs specifically. I wonder, because a lot of times too, I feel like you see this online. This has a specific VIN number though. This is so my mom would go and she would like write down the VIN number and she would look, usually it's like kind of in the window. It's also normally on the door panel. And she would be like, yes, I do see this one because they always get you to the lot and then they try and tell you that they don't have it. All right, Lexus. Lexus. Now this is a good financing. So this is the Keys Lexus. For those of you who are from California, there used to be this commercial was like keys, 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 keys and Van Nuys. All right. Let's do necessary cookies only. All right. Here is something interesting with Lexus is that they are showing us the most expensive cars first. And then we have to scroll down to the bottom to get to the more affordable ones. So they've got this doesn't sound right. That's a cute little car. The RC300 coupe for $45,270. Okay, little SUVs. I like that color. You don't need any of this, Shelly. Don't these need the premium gas though? Okay. Little SUV for $35,000. So far, that's the cheapest one. Okay. Sedans. Okay, do we want to look at this little SUV, the UX 250 H? Because that to me looks like it's the cheapest one. Now they don't have any on the lot. Oh no. Oh no. See, like what in the world with that? So now I know it said that there was 0 on the lot, but it said like MSRP of 36,000 and then you click it and it's almost $20,000 more. I'm not into that. Seems not great. Okay. Which one did you tell me? Actually, I'll look up the one that you actually said. An IS or an ES? Okay, the RC and the IS models. You might use Lexus for the same price as a new Toyota. I wouldn't do a Lexus because I feel like it costs more for insurance and it costs more for gas because I think you're supposed to put the premium gas in there. Okay. Okay, I don't see any I's. What about just an RX? No, I don't love this. Okay. But track price. Now that's interesting. I wonder if that's because of the tariffs. So like you can see if it goes up like $100. I think it's probably supposed to be for if the price goes down, but I don't think cars are going down right now. Now this is interesting. There's a sale pending on this one. That's weird that they tell you that. Okay, so 55,000 ish seems to be what they're doing. Okay, now BMW. And then we're going to look at an article and see if it'll tell us. Test drive at BMW today. Sure. We're going to start shopping. Oh, fine. Oh, Beverly Hills. Now let's do the Valley. I feel like you get a better deal in the Valley. Okay. See, no, I don't know. This says the MSRP is $52,000 for this little SUV. So far it looks like BMW is cheaper. But of course, like at the dealership, it's not actually gonna give you the MSR it's not gonna be at MSRP. Which how about a coupe? I feel like coupes are normally cheaper. Are these? I have no idea. Select a series. Is X1 the cheapest? I have no idea. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Okay, that's a little SUV. I think that's what my neighbor has. Starting MSRP of 42,000. Why is this cheaper? All right, let's try and find an article. Because BMW looks like it's cheaper than the Lexus. Auto tariff. Did I spell tariffs wrong? I did. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's nice of them. Oh, no. Okay. I'm just reading the headlines right now. Let me see your comments. You have to research how much. Cindy, okay, how much? Yeah. Oh, that's another thing is that both Lexus and BMW are going to be really expensive to repair, whereas like Toyotas and Hondas should be less expensive. But again, if you're needing to get the parts imported, then there would be tariffs. Cindy, we started to talk about HOAs and cost of living in Dallas for retirement, but we got sidetracked by the auto tariffs. Okay, so I'm reading the headlines, which are a little bit alarming, except for this one's kind of cool. Car companies are paying tariffs so you don't have to. Like, love that. Yahoo Finance says Trump's tariffs are pummeling top automakers. The hit is 11.7 billion and climbing. Should you buy a new car before the tariff prices hit? Michigan auto jobs depend on a tariff change. Okay. Kelly Blue Book says the latest car tariff information. The tariffs have started to increase car prices, puts Japan's auto industry on uncertain ground. This is Reddit. Toyota shrugs off tariffs. That was 4 months ago, 25% increase on tariffs. Certainly, I haven't seen that. Okay. That's 2 days ago. I've never heard of KSAT. Let's look at the New York Times article. Look at that ocean. Oh no. Let's see if I can. It's not gonna let me open it. Is it? Sure. Okay, well, we can't read the New York Times article because there's a paywall. News should be free, people. All right. Yahoo Finance, we're going to read that one. This was 7 hours ago, so this is a really recent article at least. Trump's tariffs are pummeling top automakers. The hit is 11.7 billion and climbing. This is by Pras Subramanian. He's a senior reporter. The auto sector is taking President Trump's tariffs on the chin. Toyota, the world's largest automaker, was the latest to reveal the impact it's seeing from tariffs in its earnings on Thursday morning, with slightly over 3 billion wiped from its fiscal Q1 operating income. With Toyota's results in, the cumulative tariff hit from the largest automakers following the end of the June quarter stands at around 11.7 billion per automaker's financial disclosures. Toyota had the largest exposure, followed by rivals like Volkswagen, GM, Ford, Honda, and others. China's top automakers were excluded from the list as they do not operate in the US. Tesla wasn't affected very much. Financial impacts of the new tariffs cited by major automakers. So Toyota with 3.06 billion, Volkswagen with 1.52 billion. Guys, I've heard Volkswagens are very expensive to repair and need repairs often, so I would steer clear of those. General Motors 1.1 billion, Honda 0.84 billion, Ford zero point 0.8, BMW zero point 0.7, then Hyundai and Kia. I'm not going to read them all. Okay. Automakers, including Toyota and Honda, are not only seeing imports from their home market of Japan hit with tariffs, 15%, they're also dealing with higher overall auto sector tariffs of 25%, impacting operations from countries like Canada and Mexico. This also goes for the big three Ford, GM, and Stellantis. I've never heard of that, which have significant operations within US Mexico Canada agreement partners. Even Tesla, which makes all of its vehicles in the US, had a significant tariff impact from duties on auto parts like batteries for EVs. The cost of tariffs increased around 300 million, with approximately two-thirds of that impact in automotive and less in energy. However, given the latency in manufacturing and sales, the full impacts will come through in the following quarters. Tesla CFO, can't Vaibhav Taneja said on the company's earnings call on July 23rd. The knee-jerk reaction for automakers would be to raise prices while eventually moving towards more US production. But even if they're producing here, are they does that count? Or if they're still getting parts, are they still going to hit with that? Okay. Um Investment for new assembly plants is considerable and requires a larger rationale than a one-term presidential administration. Auto Forecast Solutions auto manufacturing expert Sam Fiorni said, building a new factory requires 3 to 5 years of planning and likely 1 or 2 billion in investments. Even retooling of an existing facility will need around $500 million. Fiorani noted that the financial outlays for factory spending have been weighed against the cost of paying tariffs over the next 3 years. Most high volume models, which typically have lower profit margins, like the Nissan Rogue, are already built in the US, moving some high volume vehicles that are built at scale in a foreign location, like the Chevrolet Equinox, might not make sense to move to the US. On the flip side, building certain low volume, high profit vehicles in the US wouldn't make sense either. Do we want to read the rest of this? Okay. GM's going to spend 4 billion to bring more truck and SUV production to the US. Honda said it's considering adding a third shift to its US production facilities to blunt the effect of tariffs, though Honda didn't say which models would be affected. It had reportedly considered moving Civic sedan production from Canada to the US, which Honda denied. Adding a third shift would enable the automaker to limit tariff exposure and avoid the cost of constructing a new factory or adding tooling for a new production line somewhere else. Honda isn't out of the woods either. CFRA's Garrett Nelson believes its margins will remain deeply negative due to unabsorbed EV transition costs and structural tariff headwinds. Even Tesla is looking onshore some of its parts productions. The other alternative to evading margin eating cost would be to pass those costs to buyers. In the short term, automakers did carry the cost, and it showed up in the second quarter financial reports, adding this at some point something has to give with prices rising. While it will vary depending on the profit margin on luxury models versus the need to be price competitive on the lower end, consumers of all vehicles, imported or not, will find prices going up starting this fall and increasing more next year. So maybe we haven't really seen them yet. Ford put employee pricing for all. This article is really long. I don't know if we're going to read all this. Oh, there we go. I like to read the comments. Let's see. At least a few of them. Anonymous. In 2024 alone, the US auto industry added 13,700 robots, and according to MIT, each robot replaces 3.3 jobs. So tariffs won't bring back factory jobs, they'll just speed up automation that replaces workers. Um, Notice who's paying for the tariffs initially: the automakers, not Japan, Germany, or China. And soon those tariffs costs will be passed on to the American consumer, not to Japan, Germany, or China. In the end, the US taxpayer will bear all of the cost. Um, Make no mistake, Trump actually believes he's going to finance the federal government with tariffs and reduce or eliminate the income tax. All of this battling with other countries is just a smokescreen for his real intention. It's just a way of shifting the tax burden down to the working class. New GOP tariff taxes begin today, when credit card debt has been at or near record highs, reaching 1.21 trillion according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Compounding the problem, the average credit card interest rates have been soaring, making it more expensive to carry a balance. Insurance will go up with increased vehicle prices and maintenance costs, so even if you don't buy a car or need repairs, you'll still pay more. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what you guys are saying. Richard says to be an auto mechanic today requires constant education. Every year you have to go back to school to update new technology. And Cindy says, I saw a new VW bus on the road recently. It reminded you of the Scooby Doo Mystery Machine. Yeah, those look fun, but I don't think they're very reliable. Now, Joel says, and Joel, I would like to ask you about this. Electric cars are going to put me out of business, but maybe not if everyone holds onto their naturally aspirated older cars. Okay, Richard says ad number 2. So it seems like it's every 20 minutes, maybe? All right, I got to try and find a balance. Okay, so Joel, do electric cars really not need repairs that much, or is it just that the training hasn't like gotten into the mainstream shops? I will say that even with my hybrid, um I'm still nervous to take the hybrid. I mean, like, if it needs, like, an oil filter or an oil change or something to do with tires, I'm fine taking it to, like, my local mechanic on the corner. But for something like the oil pan or certainly, like, the hybrid battery, like, how this is a legitimate question, so I hope you're still watching. How familiar are mechanics these days with hybrids? Can I take my car literally to any mechanic? I feel like the Toyota Prius and Prius C probably is common enough that mechanics know how to fix anything on them. Do they know how to fix anything on them, or should I keep bigger repairs at the dealership? I feel like the answer is never to do it at the dealership, but what about with the electric cars? Do those have to just be repaired through the dealership? I don't know. Okay, Cindy says, the Democrats had no problem offshoring manufacturing with NAFTA. It was not positive for US manufacturing jobs. Yeah, I agree with that. It's so, and again, this is so tricky, right? I think so. It's real, and I don't know. I'm not a politician, so I don't know like what foresight they have, right? But let's say that I'm a politician and the citizens in my community, they need new cars, but they can't afford new cars, right? Because this is always what I thought the issue is, right? You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this. What I thought was happening, I thought minimum wage, especially here in California, is too high. The laws are very strict. Like they mentioned in that article, a third shift at Honda. So, um, you can't work more than like here in California, if you work more than 8 hours in a day, it's overtime. Even if you only work like a 1 12-hour shift on a Monday, 4 hours is of that is time and a half. Then if you work over 12 hours, it goes into double time. And the minimum wage here in California is so, so high. And the even if you're not in California, the overtime and the safety regulations, right, which are important, they are important. And people making a living wage is also important, right? I agree with all of that. But we're very heavily regulated on hours people can work, on how much they get paid. And I think those are good things. But let's say that I'm a politician and I've got a community and everybody's car is old and needs replaced. And they come to me and they say, Shelly, my car is so I can't afford a new car. Shelly, you have to do something. You have to figure out how to make a car more affordable for me. I would say, of course, my citizens, like, of course, I want to make a car more affordable for you. But how do I do it? I can't do it if they're produced here in the US. So let me send it offshore. But am I thinking, right? Are my constituents that are asking for this? And I don't think that this is the part that happened. I just think manufacturing is too expensive in the United States. That's what I think happened. That's why I think we sent it offshore so that it could be done more affordably, so that it could keep the cost of a car down so that people would buy a new car. But did everybody, including the people who want cheap car prices, did they do they um do they realize that that in keeping the cost of the car lower back then, that it meant losing jobs. And then if you lose jobs, then you can't afford that car no matter what. I just don't know. And that's something like that I think we still deal with similar issues with healthcare, right? People look at other countries and they say, why don't we have free healthcare in America? Well, I had friends from Sweden. Do you know how much they pay in taxes? They pay like 40 to 60% in taxes. So they're not keeping as much as their paycheck. But here in America, like we can barely afford to live now. We certainly can't afford to like up our tax bill by that much. So it's really tricky because there's what we want. And some of those are necessities, right? And I know that there's public transportation, right? But it's not necessarily efficient. Even my mom, right? My mom sometimes wants to get a ride to the doctor without me. There's a service called Access, but the time that you have to allow to schedule the ride doesn't make sense. Like if you need to be there at 9:30, they tell you to allow an hour and a half for drive time. Okay, so that backs it up to you need to leave at 8. But then they tell you you need to leave both an hour before and an hour after your appointment time to potentially be picked up. So that means that you need to be picked up at the latest at 8 a.m. Um, so then you have to actually arrange the ride for 7 a.m. It's crazy. Like it doesn't work. My mom would have trouble walking to a bus stop. My mom would have trouble getting up the stairs on the bus. Yeah, Richard's saying ride service is not reliable. So, especially here in California, like a car is somewhat necessary, right? Um, or good friend or good parent, sibling, daughter, sister, brother, uncle, mother, coworker that is willing to take you to the doctor. Um, yeah. So my mom recently took rideshare to the doctor and she paid like $30 and the doctor is like less than 10 miles from my house. Rideshare service is atrocious and pay 20% of what the rider pays to their drivers. Yeah. Um, so like people we and I'm guilty of this too, right? I want it all. I want things to be affordable, but I wanna pay the people making the things a fair wage. I Clothing is one of the worst offenders on this. Putting dyes and things into fabric, sometimes it's really chemically, and it can smell, and it can cause burns on your skin, and it can cause, like, genetic damage. I don't know if that's it, like, your reproductive health damage, right? We have outsourced, we being the USA, we've outsourced clothing manufacturing to other countries where they're working with dyes, they're working with these fabrics, and they're not safe when they're doing it. And so it's deregulated in those countries, and so it's cheaper. Um, but if I knew that I was wearing something and it caused damage to someone's reproductive health, so maybe their children are born with deformities, disabilities, that kind of thing, I would feel awful. But at the same time, it's hard to afford something that's made ethically and sustainably. So I don't know how to balance all those things, and I don't think politicians do either, and I think it's probably wrong of us to think that they would. I think everybody's doing their best, but are they really thinking about the long-term consequences? And then I do think I think the big issue here in America is that the consumerism, right? This is a hand-me-down from my what would she be to me? My sister-in-law's daughter, so my niece. This is a hand-me-down. When I went to go visit family in Georgia, they said, "They have this shirt that'll fit you. Do you like it?" And I was like, "I do like that. I will take that home in my suitcase." Um, I think people need to, reuse, reduce, recycle a lot more. That means holding on to an older car, repairing it. It means holding on to the latest iPhone and not buying a new iPhone every, every time they release one. Use the things that you have much, much longer, but we might have to pay a little bit more for them. Anyway, so yeah, I think that they did that, but like the people, we want lower car prices, right? I don't want to pay more for a car. So how do we do that? We send the manufacturing to another country, but then we lose jobs. Like it's a really vicious cycle, but if we keep the jobs here, so this is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the problem with keeping the jobs here was that it was going to make the product too expensive for the people that live here to buy it. That's what I think they thought they were solving. But is that I don't actually think that solved anything. What they say is kick the can down the road, right? So we're just kicking the can down the road. If we send the manufacturing to a different country, somebody else is just going to pay for it later. We did not end up talking about retiring in Dallas at all. Okay, Joel says about the car repairs. Electric cars don't have the moving components inside of them like an engine, which has a ton. No oil changes, no belts, and water pumps, and so on. Without a traditional engine, there's less stuff to repair. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Priuses, so like hybrids, there's still engines inside of them, so they still need some work done on them. I guess I did not understand that an electric vehicle does not have an engine. I did not know that. Okay. So yeah. All right, Cindy, next week we'll talk about Dallas. I babbled about home HOAs a little bit at the beginning of this, but we never got into let's just look really quick. Um should we look at cost of a house in Okay, let's look at Denton, Texas. We're gonna look at one thing. We're gonna totally switch gears and get off the car train, um, and just look at the cost of a house in the Dallas area. We're gonna go to Redfin. That's where I always go when I'm looking at property. I'm gonna have a sip of coffee. You guys know that means to like the video, please. I'm gonna go to an area called, ooh, what's that house? Sorry. Savannah, Georgia, $1.1 million. Can't afford that, but it's super, that's so cute. So, what? Oh my God. Of course I like that. Oh my goodness, guys. That is like my dream house. Well, nobody wants this, guys. It's gonna be so hard to clean all those mirror components in a wet bathroom. Um, did I see a pool in there? In the backyard? Oh my God. We can't afford it. Don't look. Now we're gonna look. We can dream, right? Yeah, that's a pool. Look at that. Straight out of a magazine, total showstopper. Okay, that was not what we came on Redmond to do. We came on, to look at I'm gonna look at a town called Denton, Texas. Denton, Texas. So, let's see here. We're gonna minus okay, so over here on the right, why did I think Denton was near Dallas? Okay, well, maybe it's not that far. So Cindy had asked me to look at, retiring in and around the Dallas area. So I chose Denton because I had traveled there previously. We had a movie theater there. We don't, oh no, we don't anymore. A new construction house. All right. What is wrong with this house? This is a weird house. Why is this house? Now, this place has an HOA for $17. But what in the world? Let's just look at this house for a second. Okay, share this tab instead. What is up with this shape of this house? Does this look like a super weird house to anybody else? Uh-oh. Okay. You guys, can you still hear me? I agree. I definitely agree with that. Like, we need to be more self-reliant, but how do we do that and keep costs down? Like, I feel like to do that, you'd be like, "Hey guys, we need to cut minimum wage. Like, I know we raised it, all this craziness, but now we need to cut it back." And like, people are gonna be like, "No, we can't." Like, where are we gonna? How do we make it so that we can afford to manufacture the things and then buy them here? Okay. Anyway, Princeton, Princeton, Texas is the fastest growing city in Texas, and it's a Dallas suburb. All right, let's look there. But also, can we just look at this house? And this place has an HOA of $17 a month. But why what is up with the shape of this house? Like it seems like the HOA should be like, don't make the shape of your house be a star. What is that? It's weird. All right, we're gonna look at Princeton, Texas in a second. This house would need a lot of work and it's $450,000. So I wonder and that fence didn't look great either. There was a fence on the outside. They should have staged this house. It looks like somebody's getting ready to, like, move out. This is cute. They staged the little shelf, or the couch, but there's no carpet, there's no nothing. Yeah, they could have staged this better, I think. Now I'm a house staging expert. I thought maybe that you would see what you got with the, HOA, like, maybe there's a pool or something I can't see. Also, there was a picture where's that picture? In the front of the house, that fence. This fence looks terrible. That's acceptable also? With the HOA? That seems so weird. Okay. I'm gonna close this. And let's look at Princeton. Princeton, Texas. All right. Oops. Oh, it's too expensive. Well, at least this house is too expensive. We gotta zoom out in so that we can see where Dallas is. Okay, so this is Princeton. Ooh, oh my goodness. What? New homes from the 500,000s, luxury 3 to 6 bedroom homes with neighborhood pool and trails near schools. That looks super cute. How about as I get older, I realize I might just want a one-story house. Let's look at this one. Is this the cheapest? Yeah, let's look at this one. Now, here's a funny statement. I was like, "Oh, I would never wanna paint a house. This house is too plain." Oh, it's plain inside too. Alright, well, that's okay. That's okay. Share this tab instead. Okay. Um, yeah, there's 21 photos. It's just white. So this is a very plain house. It's okay. It's affordable. There's nothing wrong with this. White makes the house look bigger. I don't know. I think the villages seemed more affordable, didn't they? And have more amenities and had bigger houses. Okay, we're going to Google one more thing. Okay, Sherman, Texas. Condos. I'm going to answer that really quickly. I know we jumped around today. I don't love sharing a wall with someone else. And I think an awful lot of condos that I've seen, the configuration is that you have a parking spot and a garage, and then you enter the house and then you go up a whole flight of stairs. And I don't love that as I get older. I think I want a single story house. I love houses. That one that I just looked at in Savannah that I was like, oh, this is like my dream house. That was definitely a two-story house. But stairs are getting harder for me, and I don't know if it's a situation where it's like I need to go up and down them more, like a move it or lose it situation, or if I'm just at an age where stairs are gonna be difficult. Maybe I don't want a house with stairs. Alright, let's look at Sherman, Texas really quick. Okay. Ba-ba-da-da-da. Ooh, downtown Sherman. Um, so the 2 houses that I see that are affordable to me would be this one for 180. It says it has a garage and a pool, so alright, let's go ahead and click that. Don't judge a book by its cover, maybe. This one's new 3 hours ago. Now, this house, am I sharing this? No. Okay. This house would be fine. Clearly, they are religious. But this you can fix. Like, it looks like they've kept the house in good condition, but you would just wanna take all those things off, and the house, you might even get a better deal on it because of all the kind of strange religious stuff that they have up in the house. Oh, now see, oh, come on now. Why did I know that that was gonna be the case? You guys, that's the pool. How do you even count that as a pool? It has a nice little swing set. It looks like it has a yard, like a that is not the kind of pool I was hoping to see, but I was like, "Well, maybe." Richard, you live on the ninth floor and you take the stairs going up and down. All houses in the villages are ranches. So I think that's a good sign. I think the community there is a good sign, and honestly, it seemed like you got a nicer house for less money, or is it my imagination? Right? Those houses last week were very nice. This house, this is their pool. I would rather pay the HOA. Somebody could tell me what I can do in my front and my backyard, but I can use their nice pool and their nice golf course. Okay, Steve says, "I live in Wisconsin. My house was 70,000 and now it's 120,000 house prices." Yeah, house prices just keep going up. That's especially true. You guys, here in California, I bought my house for 128, which is a good price here in California. It is, but my house is now worth probably over a half a million dollars, which is just insane. My house is 638 square feet. No one should pay half a million dollars for that little square footage, and I don't have a lot of land either. I think my lot is like 2,700 square feet. It is very, very, very small. Okay. So this is a weird little house, but you could fix this up and make it really cute. Okay, so let's go back. Um, Now that one's really nice. There is an HOA there. I can't believe that they say that there's a pool. So this house that we just looked at, that lot is 2, 6, 3 times the size of mine at least. This is another house where maybe there's probably a good deal. I don't love when the houses are super close to each other like this. Like if I moved out from where I am, I would want more room. That house looks promising. 215,000, 185,000. That's a lot of yard, it looks like, for upkeep. Um, these all say it's car dependent. This almost looks like a mobile home. Let's look at this. This looks cute. I love the two-story houses, apparently. Good lighting. Oh, clearly it's hot in this house. Little front porch swing, fireplace. The stairs look doable. Nice kitchen. I like that kitchen. Oh, we lost the photo. The houses just don't look as cute to me as the other one. This is cute. Where's a 3D walkthrough? 235,000. This home is popular. I mean, it's cute. You're gonna be able to find something, it looks like, pretty affordable that's decent. Again, this is close on your neighbors. Let's look at the backyard. I would also be looking for something that you don't have to that has a smaller lot where you're not having to maintain it. This kitchen's a little chaotic. I don't like the backsplash. Whatever. I wouldn't change it though because you know what? It's not broke. Don't fix it. Um, all of these rooms are fine. Oh, the backyard looks manageable. It's just a bunch of leaves. All right. But you don't have that built-in community and all the amenities like you did in, oh, was I not I was not sharing my screen that whole time. Ugh. Anyway, I'm sure you can find something. Yeah, a lot of yeah, the older areas may have a yard, but they still have yards. Actually, I don't know what I want. Pavement, concrete. I don't like to be close on my neighbors, which I am in my house in California. You're always, especially at the price I paid, gonna be close on your neighbors. And then, but I also don't like a big yard to take care of. It's just a really big driveway so that all my friends, my non-existent friends, can come visit me. All right, guys. I'm gonna look more into the auto tariffs. I'm gonna try and figure out how much we think car prices are going to go up when they do pass those to the consumer, because it looks like the auto industry is absorbing it for now from what I read. um and next week maybe we'll go a little bit more in detail about like the taxes and what kind of like services they do have in the Dallas area for seniors. All right, guys, have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you so much for watching Shelly's Millions. Don't forget to like the video and join us every Sunday. We go live at 11 a.m. to talk about budget, finance, money, or whatever you guys want to talk about. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week.